you're blocked by fear. And when you don't have that fear, then you can do anything.
The goal isn't to live forever. The goal is to create something that will.
Welcome to Perspective, a podcast for wedding craves, where we sit down often with a special guest and talk about our many years of experience in the wedding industry so you can learn from us and grow your wedding business. How is everyone out there? Shooting all day? Edit queued up the wazzoo? Yeah, sounds about right. Well, Gregg is a few weeks into being a father and not back in the studio, so apologies if we're not releasing to schedule. We're kind of running at half capacity. This is another special episode of Perspective in partnership with Way Up North for their 10th edition of the conference, which would have been hosted in Copenhagen April 21st, 22nd of 2020, which at this point sounds so long ago. However, we were invited to be hosts of an episode of their podcast, which was a total privilege to be asked to do that. So thanks to Cole Roberts for allowing us to be hosts. However, we spoke to Remi of Maru Films, who was going to be a speaker at the event, but COVID really did a number on workshops and events in 2020, so the recording kind of fell out of date. There are still some awesome times and great information to be had in the conversation, and we will try to plan a follow-up episode with Remi in the future. However, without further ado, Maru Films. You're listening to the Way Up North podcast, hosted today by me, Simon.
And me, Gregg.
Together, we are Cinemate, Scotland-based filmmakers and hosts of our own podcast, Perspective, a podcast for wedding creatives. And we've been gifted the privilege of talking to one of my personal favourite wedding filmmakers, Remi from Maru Films. On this episode of the Way Up North podcast, we'll be talking about clean slates. But before that, I really want you to get to know Remi, who he is and what he does. So one, we can highlight how awesome he is in general, and two, so that you feel more comfortable saying hello in Copenhagen. Gregg and I really want to encourage everyone listening, if you're going to be at Way Up North 2020, come talk to us, come talk to Remi. We are open and just have a damn good time, because it really is a fantastic event and we're so looking forward to it, and I hope to see you there. But before we get into all that, something we like to do on our own podcast, Gregg, what are we drinking?
Well, here at the Cinemate office, we've got some Minor Figures coffee. We're big fans of the Minor Figures oat milk. Mm-hmm. And we've got their filter roast, which is a double origin, brewed it up in the Chemex.
Yep, which is badly placed behind the laptop.
Have you got anything over there that you're drinking in particular?
What? What? Me?
Yeah.
Yes.
You.
What are you drinking, Remi?
I thought you guys were just talking to each other, man.
That would be the worst podcast ever.
Actually, I'm without a drink right now.
Oh no!
Yeah.
That's fine. Well, you can run and grab something if you want.
I'll grab some water. Wait, be right back.
Oh. How do you like the coffee, Gregg?
It's nice.
It is quite tasty.
I've been drinking it most of last week, so quite used to the flavours.
So this is what you've been bringing in the office?
Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's not tasting new to me. So, we are very privileged to be able to host today's episode of the Way Up North podcast.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Are you back, Remi?
Okay, I got water.
All right, cool.
Some good Dutch water.
Good Dutch water, yeah.
We are very excited about the 10th edition of Way Up North. How are you feeling about it?
I'm also very excited. I also think I've been to quite a few. I've been to some of the first ones, and now being invited to talk on stage it's incredible. It's crazy to think that I'll be standing there.
Is it just going to be yourself talking, or will your wife be there as well?
No, so it will just be me, because Puyok, although she did some stage talks before, she doesn't like to do it. So she has done it, and then she said okay, I don't like it, you do it. And then she's also with the kids, so.
Yeah. Will she be at the conference at all, or will she be back home?
Good question. I'm not sure yet, because we have 2 kids now, and bringing them along would, complicate things.
Yes.
So let's see, maybe.
Okay.
But I think not.
You've got 2 kids now. I only remembered the one. Was it Nova?
Nova, yeah.
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 So we have one kid called Nova and one Luna. And Luna is now 10 months old. So it's quite recent. So
Yeah.
10 months, that's a good age. You're starting to see their personality come into play. Must be quite nice.
very true. It's a very fun age. You start to connect with them a little bit more because they react on specific things, and you can really see that she's like very aware of the things that are happening and that she can understand things that you're saying. So I mean, it's amazing.
And if I remember all my kids at that stage, they were throwing stuff. That's always a fun game. So toys off the tables, or food on the floor. It goes everywhere. It's a very messy age.
Yeah, but she's not at that point yet that she's throwing with stuff.
Okay.
Yet. But it will probably happen. So how old are your kids now?
7, 5, and 3 now. So quite
Wow. Yeah.
quite a good age.
True.
So how's your week been?
Honestly, this week has been like one of the craziest I had for the whole year.
Yeah.
So I just came back from Australia on Saturday, I think. Then I had my own workshop last Tuesday and Wednesday, and we're selling our house. So I thought, like, let's replace the kitchen Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I'm still doing a little bit of replacing the kitchen. And at the same time, we have a new house going on, so have to arrange stuff for that. Then I have 2 other projects that are will require attention, and then the backlog. So yes, this was a crazy week. I'm actually sitting like between all the mess now of the carnage of replacing the kitchen, which is slowly coming to an end.
Okay, well that's good.
How about you guys?
Well, compared to that, we're doing great. Oh my god, I had a very lazy weekend, I have to say.
Work-wise, last week was a lot of editing, just crushing through the backlog. We had quite a big project from September, it was. It was like a double wedding almost. So that was pushing the delivery date. But finally sort of got to deliver it. The couple loved it. It was good.
It's
always nice to deliver a wedding film and get good feedback.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just delivering is also good.
Yes.
Oh yes,
The
definitely.
feeling and then getting the good feedback makes it even better,
Yeah. So you mentioned 2 other projects. Are you able to are they secret projects or?
No. They're not secret projects.
Okay.
So what we're working on is our own CRM system. It's called Octoa. It's at this point a very basic CRM system, and we're in the beta phase.
Right.
So we're really testing things out. And it's for the beginning more or less aimed at the European market, because I think like all the big CRM systems out there are not really focused on the European market and our laws with tax and everything like that.
Yeah.
So so that's one project which I'm very excited about. And then I'm working on another project which is an external editing company, but then with some smart mechanics in there to make sure that we deliver high quality edits. So so interesting things that we're working on.
Yeah,
I think.
Cool.
Yeah, it was actually someone, it was Mark Bakura, mentioned the CRM system. He said he was talking to you and he mentioned that because he works in here. I was intrigued by it, so I'm looking forward to seeing some of that when it's in a sort of more developed stage.
I hope that when we are at way up north that I can show a little bit of it.
Ooh, okay.
The goal is to have a at least public beta at that point. And I think we're really close. We're really close to being able to release it. And we've been working on it for about 1.5 years now. So it's been a big project.
Cool. Are you doing a lot of the coding work yourself? Because am I right in saying you've got a computer science sort of background, is that right?
I have that background, that's correct, but I'm not doing the coding myself on this one. So most of my time I spend on fixing or setting out the goals and how the user interface works and what kind of features we want and how things should work. And we're with a team of 3 people. So we have one full stack developer, one designer, graphic designer, and UX, and I also do UX, and at the same time I'm also looking into the marketing and sales part. So we have a nice team going on here, which I know for a very long time because we had a creative agency together, and we thought like, okay, let's do this and let's move forward with our own product, and we all got very excited about this, so we're all on board.
Cool. Yeah, that's very exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing what you've made.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to see what you guys think of it. You know, it's gonna be interesting to see, you know, all the technical aspects, how they work, also with how when you load the service more with more people. But we have a plan how to roll it out, and we have now a lot of we're working on people to really test it behind the scenes. So in that sense, we really already know a little bit of how people use it. And what the things are that we need to optimize. So before we even launch it, it will be a well-tested platform where like at least 98% of the bugs are out of there. I mean, a full 100% will never happen, but so there's a good plan on how to roll it out, and that takes away from the nerves for sure.
I don't know how I'd feel. I feel every time I put something, I mean, I've not done anything technical, but if I was to ever put stuff out there, I always feel like I'm going to have nerves. Anything it might be. But cool.
I think that's only natural.
Oh. It is natural. Yeah. It is natural. Yeah, for sure.
So I was looking through your... I don't really know how to segue into this question, so I'm just going to go straight into it, right? On your website, it says that you love hot dogs.
I do.
Now, I'm a big fan of hot dogs as well. So I just want to know, what would be your favorite kind of hot dog? What makes a good hot dog for you?
What makes a good hot dog? Well, I'm honestly not a very picky eater in that sense. But if you have a good bun, I mean, the bun is usually underrated with a hot dog.
I would agree. Mm-hmm.
A good bun is very important. Then, you know, a good sausage in there. But I like it to have it with mustard, ketchup, some pickles, and you have the fried onions.
Oh.
Then it's like... amazing.
Yeah.
And honestly, I even like the ones from the IKEA. So,
oh yeah.
like I said, not a very picky eater.
Yeah. I can never figure out whether if I get to the end of IKEA, the taste of the hot dogs are so good because it's like a competition just to get through at IKEA. It's such a slog. You're like rewarded with this good hot dog. But yeah, no, I'm the same. I've actually, in preparation for that question, Remi, I noted down my favorite hot dog. And I have too the combination of the mustard, the American mustard, and the ketchup with the crispy onions. So I'm with you on that one.
I'm going for the French mustard.
Oh, French mustard. All right, okay.
Yeah. Right. Dijon.
Oh, Dijon. And Greg, what about you? I asked you this off camera, and you got really upset with me.
I've never really thought of what my favourite hot dog is.
Well,
I'd say I'm not picky as well. Similar.
All right.
Just,
fine.
Hot dogs are fine. I don't have
Any
strong opinions on them.
I'm sorry. I'm just, hot dogs are great. That's what I want to know about it. Well,
good question.
Absolute nonsense question, but I enjoy it nonetheless. We said this off the podcast, but just so it's on air, congratulations for winning the best videographer and Europe's best wedding video. Or not winning,
finalist.
Becoming a finalist, sorry.
A finalist. We didn't win it yet, you know. We got to beat you guys first. And some other people.
But yeah, that's awesome.
You guys too, you know. Congratulations with that. I don't know which one. I don't know which one. Best filmmaker, best wedding film.
Wedding video. That
best
was us.
wedding video.
Yeah.
It's similar, right? It's similar.
Yeah. But I was very surprised, to be honest. When we got the shout out, I was like, what? With you guys?
Well, it's well deserved. I mean, you guys do good stuff, so.
It's nice to be sort of up there and good company with yourself and Ricardo.
Yes, absolutely.
So next year you're going to be on stage, or next edition.
That would definitely push us out of our comfort zone. Who knows?
Have you ever talked on stage?
I've not, because I'm really scared of like public talking and all that stuff. But Simon did something at one of the events in Rotterdam. He did one of the 10-minute talks in between.
Yeah, that 10 minutes felt like an hour. But
Really?
yeah, no, that
I
was...
always feel the other way around.
Oh,
like
really?
An hour feels like 10 minutes.
Clearly, that's just a professional talking.
No, it comes with experience. Just do it. Just get out there, do it. Face your fears.
You heard the man, Gregg. Let's do it.
Clean slate.
Yeah.
It's amazing that you don't like talking in public and you have a podcast.
Yeah.
I can hide
Because
behind the
that's
microphone.
safe. That's a little bit safer,
true.
you know?
Yeah.
That is true. That is true. Well, I don't know. Maybe I could do the talking and you could do the laptop.
I can just be the face.
You could do the pushing of the button, change the slide,
Yeah.
and I'll just give you a wee nod, change the slide. Gregg.
Or the sign language.
Or the
Yeah.
sign language.
Translations, yeah.
Let's get into a bit about you and sort of Maru Films. So, in your own words, who is Remi and what do you do?
Good question. Who am I? That's something that I'm struggling with for no.
Yeah, going a bit
Does
deep in this
anyone
episode.
really know?
Does anyone? Yeah, I mean, it's such a loaded question. Who are you? And you gotta answer it in a couple of sentences. Who are you? Mm-hmm. I guess you are the person, or you become the person through all the experiences that you have done. Yeah. So I'm a father of two. I'm if I stick to the facts, I'm a husband to my wife, just married for 4 years. We've been together for almost 16 years.
Wow, has it been that long?
Yeah,
That's
almost 16 years. I am a serial entrepreneur, I guess. I really like to start stuff, to do different things, to challenge myself.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm very much optimistic, or maybe a little bit naive when I start things, you know?
Okay.
I'm not afraid of doing it. I'm not afraid to fail. But I can't do the same thing too long, so I keep changing things that I do. So
Okay.
yeah, I guess that's a bit of a description, I guess.
Yeah, I like it a lot. You said you like to start things. Do you also finish them? Or do you just...
Finishing is harder. It's the hard
Yeah.
part. Like the starting is always like more exciting.
Yeah. I'm very much like you. I start things and don't finish them.
Yeah. And a lot of the time it's hard to define where the finish is,
Yeah, exactly.
sort of thing.
You're getting too deep on today's episode, Greg. You're getting
Well,
too
I guess
deep.
when you, for example, selling a company would be finishing, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's only one real finish, and that's death.
Yeah. And that one is certain.
That one is the only certainty. Yeah. So I mean, how did you start being a wedding supplier then, a wedding filmmaker?
We started in 2012, and the company I started together with my wife, Puyok, who is not here with us at the podcast because she doesn't like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's fine. She's too scared. It's fine. You've already...
He doesn't care, honestly. And we started in 2012, but way before that, we already did some video of our holidays, and I got into filming car events. I did that for a few years.
Right.
And then our friends saw that we made a video, or we made videos of car events, and they liked it. So I guess that's where it started, because then the first year we filmed 4 weddings.
Right.
After
Okay.
that, so
And did you have any opinions on wedding films at that point? Had you been avoiding them, or were you?
no, I didn't even think about it at that point. I was just, even the car events wasn't that serious. I did get paid for them. I did get asked for like some like big car brands at that point, which was nice. But yeah, weddings, I didn't know. I thought it was like fun to do it for a friend, I didn't really have an opinion other than at my sister my sister-in-law's wedding, they had a videographer, like the Uncle Bob, and I think he gave the tape to them afterwards. So, but even then, I didn't pay so much attention to it. And then we saw a friend of us who got married in Japan, and he asked this guy from the Philippines to film his wedding, and his name is Jason Magbanua, which is like a really, really, really big name, like one of the founders of wedding cinematography as we know it now. So that was actually one of the first films I saw from like wedding films that I thought like, oh, this is interesting stuff, you know. Let's do something like that. So that was the reference that we had at that point.
Yeah,
very cool. I'm just thinking back to an old workshop where we saw someone's first wedding film. Do you have any of those first wedding films that you ever shot?
Like with what here?
Like no, not like. Do you keep them in record? Like, do you have the opportunity to look back at them? Have you ever looked back at them?
Yes, I think regularly. Like
really?
Part of our workshop, we show our first film.
Oh, fantastic!
For people to get an understanding of where we started. 8 years ago. I think people get the motivation out of it, especially seeing how not so good it was the first ones.
Everyone needs to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Do we still have our first one? I think we do, don't we?
Yeah.
It's shot back on the Sony EX1s. Oh man,
professional.
Oh, absolutely. I think we even had a Lettuce 35mm adapter at the time. Did we use that for...
I don't know if we ever used that for weddings.
Oh, that was a beast, that thing.
That was the thing that you wanted when you were filming with the camcorder. I looked at that thing also for a very long time. It's like, oh, look at that shadow, that the field, that is so nice.
Yeah.
I know, yeah. Oh, so funny. Oh, so long ago as well.
Yeah. And then I just zoomed in with my camcorder because then you had a little bit more shadow depth of field. It's like, oh yeah. I got it.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So you mentioned it's yourself and your wife. Do you always shoot together as a duo?
Well, since the last 2 years, I think. The last 2 years, not every single time. And actually the last year, not at all. So the last year I've been shooting myself with different shooters, and before that already. So we're also, we're building a team now with different shooters.
Has that been a transition due to the growth in the family?
Yeah, mostly. Yeah. So that made things a lot different, and Pilk also not wanting to travel too much, and at the same time, it's also, I think, a good transition because we also can send another team now to a wedding when we're already booked, so you don't miss out on double inquiries. So that's very helpful.
How do you do with clients who might be expecting you or your wife to be shooting, or do you just let them know? Is that
the first that books us gets me, basically, and my wife is not shooting, so that's not part of the equation. So if I'm already booked, then I will tell them like, okay, we can film your wedding, but I'm already booked, so I'm not be able to do it, but we have a very experienced team which can help you out. Cool. And then in the end, with film, I think like 25% of the film is decided by what you shoot, and 75% is decided by how you edit it. So I think for filmmaking that's a little bit easier than compared to like photography, where it's like 75% what you shoot, maybe even more, 85% what you shoot, and 50% of the editing.
Yeah, definitely.
And so you edit all the films?
Yeah, more or less. So what we do is so we both edit. So we have this external editing company that we're working on building, but they basically help us with the culling process. So we save time through that, but we still keep the creative direction within our own hands, and we will do always it's not only the finishing touches, like sometimes, with everything having laid out, it's still our creative process in the end. So to maintain the same quality level, obviously.
Yeah,
definitely. So what makes a Maru film then? Like what are the aspects for when that you focus on, or is there anything that you try to pull out in an edit?
What we really focus on is like the story of the couple and the vibes of the day, like the emotions of the day. Is it fun? Is it more, is it emotional? And then we put that into the film. So we really look into like what the couple, who the couple is, but at the same time, we try to put in like proper storytelling from beginning to end by using the theory of story, which is also being used in cinema, in books, and everything. And we apply that to how we build our story. And we're really looking into like character building, the plot, things like how we can build the suspense and things like that. So there's a lot of time and effort we put into our films, and in the end we can really explain every single thing we've done in the edit.
Yeah.
Every cut, every transition, every sound effect we can explain. So there's like a lot of rationale in our films, but at the same time we try to keep the feeling in there. And I think this is a little bit the yin and yang, where I am more rationale and then Puyok is more emotional.
Right.
So I take care of the rationale, she takes care of the emotions, and it's always a mix of the two of us when we are editing.
Yeah, so it's quite a collaborative process.
Yeah, for sure.
That must be quite nice, actually. Because
Yeah,
that's totally the opposite with me. Like so I edit all of our films, and Gregg manages more the business end of the business. Yeah.
So usually after filming a wedding, I'll get the project ready, all synced up and everything, and then hand it over to Simon, and I won't see it again until
it's done.
I need to review the films to deliver to the client.
I was going to say, I said until it's done. It's never done because there's always a mistake in there. There's not one film, maybe one in our whole existence where I have completed a film and there's not been a glitch.
No, the first export is never the final one.
Do you suffer from that as well, Remi? Do you export a film and there's always
Always, and I re-export it. I sometimes like export the same film 15 to 20 times.
Oh, thank God, it's not just me.
It's like, it's so frustrating. And it's like, and you watch it again, it's like, no, that white balance on that shot is really off. Or the sound, it doesn't roll off nice enough there. And it's like, maybe the timing is a little bit off. I think one time I spent like 3 days on a 15-second trailer. And then my wife told me, like, stop it. Yeah. And I could continue. I could still continue. It's like, okay, this is insane.
Yeah. So would you classify yourself as a sort of perfectionist?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And it's frustrating. But then again, it's also, you got to know, I think as a perfectionist, you got to learn, like, okay, it's not reachable, but, get as close as possible. Yeah, within limits. There should be someone that tells you, like, okay, it's done now. Go away. Stop.
So in terms of the story, do you ever find the term like story or being a storyteller, does that have like bad connotations now? Because I maybe felt like a year ago it seemed to be like not the coolest thing to call yourself a storyteller because everyone was doing it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, but then I think, like, are you not wanting to call yourself a storyteller because it's uncool, or is it because you're not?
Well, I don't know. I suppose it would be, well, if everyone's calling themselves a storyteller, do they really know what telling a story is? Because I'd maybe look into their work and I wouldn't see it as clearly as maybe, others would if it was there at all. I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, I think everybody is a storyteller. Everybody is a storyteller. It's everybody. Like, every single human being is a storyteller. But the question is, can everybody tell an engaging story or not? So, in a sense, like, calling yourself a storyteller doesn't say anything because everybody is a storyteller. But the difference is, like, is your story interesting enough for people to watch or to listen to or to view to, and that's a big difference. But honestly, I don't care, like, personally, I don't care so much about trends or what people think, because if we do that too much, then we move away from what we think we are or what we should be, and we're letting ourselves be defined by, by trends or or things,
Yeah, no, 100%. And I may want to get onto that a little bit later in the podcast, because obviously we will be talking about a clean slate. But I do want to get you to tell us more about this film that you put in for the Europe's Best Wedding Video. You want to tell us a little about that wedding, about the film, about what you're going for with it?
Yeah, so that is the wedding of Veronica and Jonet. They are actually also wedding filmmakers themselves. So
right.
That's always a challenge to really create something that lives up to their expectations. But in a way, they also get an understanding of what they get. So that's helpful as well. Mm-hmm. But with their wedding, the interesting part about their wedding was that it was very sort of a mix of two worlds, where you had like these very explosive party moments and moments where it was a bit tense and people were nervous and like very emotional. And that was the challenge also with this film, that we thought like, okay, so how do we mix these two things together, where you have the explosiveness of the party. I mean, even during the day, during the prep, they just went out and just had fun, put on the music and started dancing.
Yeah.
And there were also moments there that she saw herself in the mirror and she was very emotional. And then the vows were also very emotional. It was really like a roller coaster in the day. So
everything seems so genuine. I think that's one thing I loved about this film. It just seemed genuine. Every part of it. Because you're right. Totally different energies throughout the whole thing, but everything just felt so real. I really engaged with it. It was really lovely.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we really strive for, to keep it really genuine and really. Well, I mean, in the end, a wedding film is an historical document that needs to last for a very long time. And I mean, if you focus only on the shoot part, then what is the value then? I think the value is more in the interaction with the people, the friends, and things like that. So we wanted to put a lot of that in there, but at the same time also focus on the couple, obviously. So it's always finding that balance in there. But I mean, the wedding itself had a lot of real moments with their parents and their friends. So I think that makes it really, really helpful to make it the way that you mentioned. So
yeah, that was really cool. Plus the first look moment was really nice as well.
Yeah,
I really liked the way you framed was it a barn or the building there with the groom waiting.
Yeah,
and then you did something interesting with the edit. Now I'm not sure if this was like purposely done on the shooting day, but during it cuts from or you've got the shot of the first look over the bride's shoulder, and the camera just tilts down ever so slightly, and it quickly like turns into her walking down the aisle. It just seems such a smooth like transitional moment, but almost like an accident, but edited really perfectly. Was it an accident or was that intentional, that transition, if you can remember this very specific moment in this very specific film?
Honestly, I'm looking it up. Was it 3 minutes?
I should have had a time marker on my notes.
No, I'm looking at it now. No, that was purposely.
Oh, so, okay. It was lovely.
Yeah, I think it's the 3:25.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, I'll tell you. So what happened there was my second shooter was standing. If you look carefully, you see the shadows of them on the left. He was standing in the frame.
During the first look?
Yeah. Well, this is we do the first look. We shoot it multiple times.
Yeah.
This part, but he was standing in the frame, and I had this gimbal shot from the rear. And I told him stand on the left, but then he stood there, and I was like, okay, go away. And then he moved away, and then this shot worked. But then I moved the gimbal down again to do the sort of the reveal shot that I had in mind a little bit closer. So the idea here was to mix the first look with the first, well, sort of the first time the first look at the ceremony.
Yeah.
So
walking down the aisle. Yeah.
Walking down the aisle. So we transitioned between those moments, and I like to sort of transition these kind of shots together. And at the beginning, I probably didn't do the cut like that. And then I saw like, okay, the camera moves down. Then the next shot, the camera also moves down. And I like to look into these things and connect them together. So you get a like smoother transition between the two. And it's just about timing the cut in a proper way. So
yeah.
Yeah, it's these little things that just give a film the edge as well, that most viewers, like the couple, and well, maybe this couple being filmmakers will notice, but most couples won't notice these minute details.
Yeah.
But it's what we all sort of put the extra effort in for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think maybe they don't notice it like consciously, but they will notice these things subconsciously. There's like, okay, it feels so smooth, but I don't know why, or... Yeah, and I think that's, we as filmmakers, that we have the power to do that kind of stuff, and put in, like, sometimes I put in these small Easter eggs in these films where like there's small things that we do, like maybe something happens on the beat or something where you don't know it necessarily, or like small transitions where there's something hidden in there. So we don't tell the couple, but it's sort of like if they notice it, then they'll have like a fun time that they discovered it, and we have a fun time just doing it. So
the other guy that sort of does some editing for us, Tom, he always puts like a hand clap or something synced to a beat. And it's like a game. When I'm reviewing the films, I have to try and find it.
Yeah. Well, it's similar to that, I guess. Yeah. I think like a good filmmaker, has a good story. I mean, all the other stuff is extra fluff or extra stuff. But a good film stands by itself through a good story. Yeah. Anything else doesn't matter. Like you can have a film with the most beautiful transitions and a poor story. I mean, in a few minutes you'll say, okay, I've seen this. But with a good story, with no transitions, no cool transitions, you will still be engaged watching the whole film. And the thing is, good story is timeless. Transitions are not.
There was this trend of transitions. And you're right, they were kind of forced in, and that was that. But when there's a narrative, when the transitions meld with the narrative, like you did, you paired the first look with the moment of the walking down the aisle, and you came in and out of those scenes perfectly, and it told the story of this really emotional moment on two different occasions that were almost similar but not quite the same. And having them to parallel to one another just emphasize that moment beautifully. You're absolutely right. Story is absolutely key, but when you're able to just use transitions
to make it flow,
yeah, exactly. But no, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, and I think everything helps, but everything is sort of with the thought of the story, and then if you can create a smooth transition between like space and time and things, and I mean that's all very helpful. So and I think it makes it even more interesting. I think that's what 100%. It's about.
Yeah. I think at the core of things, you're right. Story has to be there, and there is maybe some new filmmakers when they start getting into it think that it's all about using effects and transitions and stuff. When really,
but I think with a lot of people that it's the understanding of proper storytelling first, because I see some people they see a film and they say, oh, there are vows, so there is a good story in there. And I think like no, I mean if you have vows in there, I mean doesn't mean there's a good story necessarily. So then it clearly shows that they don't understand what a proper story consists of out of. So yeah, and I think it's like putting the time and effort into really understanding that. And it goes further than wedding films. It goes to like commercial work, but also maybe also how you structure your site or your social media or just or a stage talk. You know, even a good stage talk is revolved around a good storytelling principles. If you go on stage and you talk endlessly without a goal, without people understanding what you're going to talk about, or you give away everything already in the beginning, then, you know, unless it's really, all the stuff is like super interesting, like, but why would they pay attention throughout?
Yeah. There's an audio book that I'm listening to about marketing, and it talks about the reason why people buy things. It's not the things that they're buying. It's more, it even goes beyond the experiences that they're buying for. It's like their deep why.
It's probably start with why.
It might be that.
Sinek.
Yeah.
I think it sounds very much like Simon Sinek,
Yeah.
And it
Start
sounds
with
very
the
much,
why.
and it's very much what you're saying. So, so with that in mind, when you're taking that much time to craft a film, like, well, how much time does it take you to edit one of your films?
Between 1 week and 3 to 4 weeks, like a short clip. Depends. Like sometimes you go really crazy or you're stuck or something. Sometimes it's like really, it's like a smooth process and you know what's happening, and then it's like, okay, it can be really quick, like even less than a week.
Okay.
If you have everything in, so sometimes you're at the wedding, you're already thinking like, okay, maybe I should structure this and maybe the plot like this and then like this, and then we flow into these different things. It's like, okay, if I lay it down and I find the music, and it's like, okay. And then there's still like a lot of decisions you have to make while cutting, but then you have the big story already in your mind that you want to lay out. So, and sometimes you don't. And sometimes like, okay, where do I find the interesting story parts? How do I structure this? You have to listen to the whole ceremony, to the whole speeches, to like everything, and like figure it out. So.
And then other times you've got those 15 seconds of video that just take 3 days.
Not sure if that was really worth it, but it was a fun exercise, I guess.
Yeah. So let's go on to the overarching theme for this edition of Way Up North is clean slate.
Clean slate.
So
Clean slate.
what does that mean to you?
Clean slate. Quite honestly, It's almost like the standard I live by. Like I said, I like to start new things. I'm not really afraid to start from scratch. And I guess I'm sort of addicted to the progression of things. And once things are, stabilizing, then I feel like, okay, let's do something new. I need to do something new. I need to get that excitement of starting with a clean slate from scratch. So and I think it's all about being very positive. I watched this documentary about Bill Gates, and it's on Netflix. It's a pretty good documentary. I like it. And there they also talk about like what kind of people start these kind of companies or really start to do these kind of things, and they're mostly people that are like overly positive. Because if you're not overly positive and you start to doubt or think about the things that, could go wrong, then obviously you will not start over or do something else because you're blocked by fear. And when you don't have that fear, then you can do anything, because you just think as anything is possible, and you will make sure that anything is possible. You'll go into it and then you'll face things, and maybe it's harder than what you think it would have been, and maybe it's not going to work out the way that you envisioned it, but you're then solving little problems rather than thinking about the big problems. And I think that's my thought on like clean slate.
I would 100% agree with you. Fear stops us from doing new work, just from being ourselves. I think fear holds us back. So I don't remember. We met a few years ago at
Rotterdam, I think, for love's sake.
For love's sake, yeah. Sorry.
No worries.
Oh my goodness, how did I forget that?
Don't worry.
And we actually went to that workshop because we were doing really well in business, and we kind of let things slip over a few years, and suddenly, we just ended up showing up at weddings and going through the motions, because we had started off making a certain type of film, and our clients obviously saw those type of films, and that's why they hired us. So it was the kind of that client expectations that I felt just put so much pressure on me that I had to just do the exact same every wedding. And it's a very, I probably shouldn't say this to everyone, but it was such a crippling fear I used to have in just going to weddings and doing the motions, and I became so unhappy. Like it was unbelievable. So I mean, and then I remember going to that workshop and I just felt so much more open after hearing everyone else's experience and dealing with these issues, and just the way that they describe going to weddings and just playing around with stuff during a wedding. I thought that was so beautiful. And when I started doing that, oh my god, I started to really love my work. I started to love going to weddings, man. It's such a good job. But I still remember that crippling fear. It's funny because it's always good to be contemplative and to be able to look back, because our past can help us guide where's good to go. But at the same time, that fear of change can stop us from doing the things that we love. That's how I feel about that. So every time I go to a wedding, I try not to think about past weddings or past clients. I look at the client and I'm just there in the moment, and that's I feel creative, and that's when I feel like I do my best work.
Well, that's good. Yeah, but you have to go through it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we've been doing this 10 years now, so you're obviously going to find yourself in a rut at some point over those years.
For sure.
As you say, everybody will go through that at some point. It's just, can you push through and find that sort of excitement and reinvigorate your why, as we were mentioning before? Because making a wedding film is so important. Like, it's a big day in people's lives.
Yeah, for sure.
It's more than a day, even.
Yeah. That was another thing on your loves list on your website, that you said you love change. You're going to chase it. And you're right. And that, I mean, it's quite obvious that you do chase the change. It's very clear in your films. But was there ever a moment that you had that you remember feeling like you were kind of unable to be creative to your full capacity, or did you ever go through those kind of struggles?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
be able to remember any of them?
Yeah, and I think mostly has to do with external factors, like being stressed, being overworked. I think that's the biggest differentiator for, against creativity. And creativity is about doing new things, about creating new stuff, exploring new things. So, it also has to be part of you to be that like that every time. And I think that's the same thing with change. Change is doing new things, being creative, and not wanting to do the same thing over and over again. I think that's also what keeps it interesting. Otherwise, you cannot do this for such a long time. If you keep doing the same thing, unless you're the person that can do that, which I think is admirable, but I can't. I have to do different things all the time.
Yeah.
And but it needs time. So when you don't spend the time to do it, then I think that's where how do you say that? It costs. It takes away from your creativity. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for anyone who's maybe in a situation where they're struggling with finding a change in their work or anything?
Try something. Yeah. Try something new. Challenge everything that you're doing, and question everything. And especially like in wedding filmmaking, I think if you want to do something different, is already try to use different music. That is such a differentiator already. That makes your process already so different, and your films in the end so different, and you have to think about things in a different way, or start doing personal work.
Yeah.
Personal work that you really care about. I think, in a way that opens your eyes.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that we hear sort of talking to us, and they say that they're scared to change their films too much because they're thinking of their sort of back catalogue and what people have seen and they're expecting for their more work.
Yeah, I can imagine.
They need to just sort of make small changes even. And as you say, if you do a personal project, put that out there.
But then what's the worst thing that can happen?
Exactly.
What's the worst thing that can happen? That the client doesn't like it? Then you change it. And then you can still keep the version that you want.
Do you have many of those type of clients that come back to you with revisions?
No, but it happens from time to time, yeah. I think especially when you're pushing the boundaries of creativity that much, not everybody's going to like what your vision is. So, yeah, that it happens. Again, it comes to fear. It comes to like the fear of, I don't know, not being accepted or that the client doesn't like it. But you don't know. You don't know until you try. Maybe the client loves it. Then they think like, oh, this is the best thing ever.
Yeah,
I did not expect it from you, but this is the best thing ever. If you think that that's the best thing to do, then do it. And it's like the fear of not doing it. And then you have to think about like, okay, what are the implications? What's the worst case scenario? If you fix it in the end, maybe it's more work. Maybe it's a little bit more work, but that's why I say, you need the time to be creative. But in the end, you can still make the client happy.
So I feel like that was a nice that was a nice way that we approached the idea of a clean slate. Imagine that you were to start, you are a complete newcomer to the industry. Let's just wipe everything you've done wedding-wise off the board. How would you approach the wedding industry as a newcomer nowadays? Because that's one thing that I really appreciated Way Up North for, was the fact that they address different skill levels. So maybe someone's coming to Way Up North and they've maybe shot for a year, but maybe they're still getting into it, Well,
I think in the beginning you're probably figuring out what to do, how to, what's the best way to move forward. I think workshops are a good thing to do. Invest in that rather than gear. I mean, you can do so much with so little gear nowadays. You don't need all the gear, but all the knowledge that you can get now through workshops is incredible. And it will, kickstart you with all the knowledge that takes you years and years to accumulate, or like conferences or things like that. So I think that's a good one to do. But at the same time, you have to, as an entrepreneur, you really have to think like, okay, what are the issues that I'm facing and how do I solve them? And I think with that attitude, you can come very far. If your problem is like, how do I get bookings? Then you have to figure out like the issues that you're facing right now, why you're not getting bookings. First of all, you need to be seen. So make sure that you're on point with your marketing. Spend money on your marketing. Don't be afraid to spend money on marketing, because in return you will get more money. So I think that's one of the common mistakes for people, that they think like, oh, I don't want to spend money because I don't have that much money. But you need to spend money to make money, in a sense, or be really smart about it. Then also get an understanding of your client base, or the people that you want to be your clients, and what kind of people they are, what kind of things they like, where they hang out, and things like that. Or hang out physically or online. And I think it's all about these little things to figure out. There's not one way to building your business. There are so many ways, but it comes down to working hard, putting in the time and effort, and also not being afraid to, spend money on marketing and things like that. So, and ultimately, especially with wedding stuff, is your work. If you start making unique and exquisite work, it will be your marketing tool. So
100%. We're kind of in a privileged position where we actually, as part of our job, that we create all of our social media content. Not every wedding supplier is in that position, so we're very fortunate. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah. What would your advice be?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of networking. Like really seeking out and working with the people who are in your local area or in your country, if you can travel around, and just, you know, talk to them, work with them as much as possible, give them shout outs, you know, incorporate them into your lives and into your work as much as possible, because, you know, they're such a great resource for help and inspiration.
Yeah, and that's also, that comes with going to sort of events like Way Up North, is out with the talks. You also sort of network with loads of other people in the breaks and start to sort of hear other people's views on the industry, and building that community is really good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but you're right, marketing is a big one as well. But yeah, any advice, like anything else, Greg, that you're thinking of that I haven't said?
I'd echo everything that's been said there. Yeah, definitely. It is scary for a lot of people when they are in the early stages of business to invest, but it's definitely something that you have to do. And as you say, the more you invest, sort of, if you're doing it right, you'll see the returns. So,
Way Up North, I just want to encourage people out there to speak to as many people as you can. You know, like, these can be your friends, if you let them into your life, inspiration. Feel free to come up to Greg and I and chat. We're absolutely open to that. Hopefully Remi is also open to that.
For sure.
Yeah, excellent. Okay.
For sure, yes. Come and talk to us. Actually, one of the fun things is that I think it was at Way Up North where I met Ricardo Fasoli for the first time. And we've been in contact ever since, and we've been like sharing referrals. We've been hosting workshops now together and things like that. So
yes,
I mean, Way Up North, that's where it happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Have you been to Copenhagen before?
Drove through, but not in the city. No.
Yeah.
You?
Okay.
I've not been, but it's been on my list of places to visit. So I'm really excited to go.
Yeah.
Made like a Google list of coffee shops and stuff to try out. Yeah.
That's cool.
And we've decided to extend the stay by a couple of days.
Don't tell my wife.
Mainly because
she thinks you're just for work, yeah.
Yes, she does.
Does she listen to the podcast?
No, she does
you're
not.
cutting this out.
No. She knows that we're staying a few days.
Yeah.
Mainly to recover from the party.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a good one.
Just enjoy yourself.
In fact, what's the theme this year?
Don't know. Mark's still to announce it.
Oh, for the party.
Oh, really?
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know.
I wasn't quite ready last year. I wasn't sure what to expect, but I will be. I will be this year.
That's good.
So, obviously, for people listening, you are one of the speakers at Way Up North 2020. You want to tell people a little bit what to expect from your talk? Or do you want to keep it a surprise?
A surprise. I will talk about clean slate things. I don't know. It's not obviously not into the details of wedding filmmaking, but we will cover some things. But it's bigger than that.
Bigger. I like it. Excellent. So where can people find you on social media, or if you're doing anything else, feel free to shout out those things.
Well, they can find us on marufilms.com, Maru Films Instagram, YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook, all the places. TikTok. Hey, don't have a lot of stuff happening there yet, but
how are you approaching TikTok?
That's the big question. I'm now approaching it like Instagram, because then I don't have to create the double content, but I haven't figured it out yet. So
okay, yeah,
and that has not been very effective. I think TikTok should be a little bit more. Yeah, it is its own platform. So
yes,
it's one that I think everyone's trying to work out. How do we approach this? Do we need to? I think you definitely got to experiment and try it out, but yeah, nobody's quite sure how to use it yet.
No. So yeah, and then for the CRM system, people can go to octoa.com, sign up there now to be one of the first people using it. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time, Remi, to be with us recording this Way Up North episode.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
And It was a pleasure. Thank you very much for letting us into your ear holes, everyone. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Way Up North podcast. And if you did, hit subscribe button to wherever you listen to this episode. Leave a review at the Way Up North podcast. I don't know where you would leave a review.
On your podcast player.
On your podcast. Just
Somewhere.
iTunes is always best.
iTunes. Just leave a review because Cole will like us even more. And yeah. And obviously, we want to grow. We want to grow the conference. I think the conference is sold out, but we hope to see you there.
It's not sold out yet, I think. Is it?
According to Mark, it's sold out.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Then yeah. Wow, that's awesome.
I know. It is awesome.
Yeah.
So
it
yeah, we
was
hope to
sold
see you
out,
there.
and then they went to a bigger venue. Well, let's say Cole didn't update me.
Cole, that's shocking.
Yeah.
Not updating your speakers. Absolute disappointing.
Yeah. So maybe it's sold
Anyway.
out, maybe not.
Yeah.
If you
But,
can still get
we
tickets, then get tickets.
if you can get tickets, definitely get tickets because it is a blast. You'll learn so much. You will be inspired. I know I was the first time I went, and I will be back every year, I think. So long as it's on and as long as they'll have me.
It's good. It's
Yeah,
a lot of
great
fun.
conference.
No, I can still
Yes,
buy a
so-
ticket, I think, or not. Add to cart.
Yeah, you check
You
out the
tried.
website.
You tried.
Yeah, I can.
Wait, are you-
I think I can still buy tickets.
Oh, okay. Mark. Now Mark's
Well,
giving us
it
misinformation.
was sold out.
Mark.
It was sold out, and then they upgraded the venue, and I think there's still some spots left.
Oh.
So
Well, even better.
Yeah, well,
Come
if you're
join us.
listening and you've not got a ticket, check the website out for the latest news.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much again for listening. Like I said, leave a review to help grow the podcast. However,
In the meantime,
enjoy your life.